It begins with a grey fantail. It's a lovely little bird about the size of a wren, with a long tail that helps it maneuver in midair while it's catching insects on the wing. One drizzly morning while I was camping, I was watching this particular fantail hunting near the washing up station. Us humans were huddled under shelter or shuffling through the rain with our heads down. This little bird was looking, hopping, taking flight, swooping, catching insects and returning to a perch, its gaze darting everywhere with electric curiosity. Its relaxed confidence contrasted with my feelings about the rain. I was sheltering in my rain jacket while it was doing acrobatics, catching delicious things to eat, shaking off the raindrops and taking flight again. There was an aliveness to it, a confidence, even a joy. I noticed it was taking insects from one particular hovering swarm and returning to one of two nearby perches. I thought, it looks like you'd appreciate a closer perch. So I walked over and simply stood where I thought it might like to rest. After a moment, someone came over to talk with me, and as we were chatting, I saw their eyes go wide. I felt the tiniest tap on my head. The fantail had landed on me. When the conversation ended, I stayed exactly where I was. I held my hands out gently, softened my gaze, tried to empty my mind. A few minutes later it returned, this time landing on my boot, and then my bowl. I watched its inquisitive little head movements. What's that? Maybe something interesting over there, perhaps something delicious over here. And then, with a tiny trill of wing beats, it landed on my hand. I felt the delicate points of its tiny claws, its almost weightless body. It preened itself, shaking off the rain and carefully aligning each feather. And when it was finished, it hopped onto my thumb, looked around, and zipped away after another insect. It came back several times more that morning, landing on my boots, my bowl, my hand. Every touch from that tiny hollow-boned creature, with its electric curiosity and impossible aerial acrobatics, felt like a gift. Almost a vote of confidence. This guy's all right. And then another thought arose. If this bird trusts me like this, maybe I really do belong. Later that day, the bird seemed to decide the other humans were all right too. It landed on Michelle's head while she was making lunch, then on Dan's back while he was washing a dish. A little while later, a fellow camper called me over. "Did you see this?" he said. Lying in the grass beside his fan was another grey fantail. Dead, this one. Not my little friend. Mine was still happily hunting near the kitchen. I picked up the tiny body. Its feathers were so soft they barely registered against my fingertips. Earlier we'd seen a grey goshawk sweep through camp. My best guess was that, in escaping the hawk, this little fantail had flown into the van window. I looked back towards my friend, still hunting, still darting, still making impossible turns through the rain, and I thought, it lives in a world where predators can fall out of the sky at any moment. And still, it hunts in the rain. Still, it performs impossible flips and loops. Still, it finds delicious things to eat. Still, it makes new friends. That little being is alive. I looked down at the almost weightless body in my hand. Alive right up until the very moment that it isn't. Thank you for letting me share that story. Storytelling is one of the great passions of my life. It's woven through my psychotherapy practice, my teaching, and the way I understand the world. This September, we're gathering around the fire for 5 days to explore that together. It's called The Way of Story. I'd love to see you there.